There is a quiet shock that comes when you realize how much of the world you have never noticed. Not because it was hidden on purpose, but because your senses were never tuned to it. You walk through familiar places. You think you know them. And then one small discovery changes the scale of everything. Suddenly the silence is not empty. It is full. Context matters because humans grow up believing that reality is limited to what we can see and hear. We trust our senses. We build our stories around them. If something does not show up clearly, it feels less real. Less important. Easier to ignore. This works well for survival but not so well for understanding. The world is layered. Signals overlap. Messages move through ranges we cannot feel. And life continues whether we notice it or not. The surface insight here is simple and surprising. Many beings communicate constantly in ways we cannot detect. They share information. They coordinate. They pass culture from one generation to the next. When science begins to translate these signals, we are often stunned. Not because the behavior is new, but because our awareness is. Animals we thought were quiet turn out to be speaking all the time. Patterns we thought were instinct turn out to be learned. What looks like a simple movement turns out to carry sound energy. Think about how often humans confuse absence of evidence with evidence of absence. If we cannot hear it, we assume it is not there. If we cannot see it, we assume it does not matter. But that assumption is fragile. When tools extend our senses, the world grows larger. The hidden assumption beneath this surprise is that intelligence looks like us. That communication sounds like speech. That culture requires writing. When we do not see these features, we label other life forms as simple. But intelligence can be quiet. It can be slow. It can move through channels we ignore. A feather can carry sound. A shell can carry vibration. A group can share a dialect without words as we know them. Once you accept this, the idea of loneliness in nature changes. The forest is not silent. The ocean is not empty. They are busy places full of messages crossing paths. Insight 3 is about pattern and time. Many of these discoveries come late, not because animals just started doing them, but because humans just started listening differently. We lived alongside these beings for thousands of years without noticing key parts of their lives. This tells us something uncomfortable. Familiarity does not equal understanding. Living near something does not mean knowing it. We can look without seeing. Hear without listening. And this pattern repeats in human relationships too. People speak in tones we miss. Communities express needs we overlook. Cultures signal values that do not match our expectations. When we fail to notice these signals, we create misunderstandings. When we do notice them, cooperation becomes possible. Reframing this idea invites humility. Humans are not the center of communication. We are one node in a vast network of signals. Many conversations happen without us. That does not make them less meaningful. It makes them different. When we stop assuming our senses define reality, we become curious instead of confident. We ask what else might be happening here. What else might be speaking? This shift is powerful because curiosity opens space. It slows judgment. It invites learning. Application to daily life appears in small moments. Think about how often you miss cues in conversations. A pause. A change in energy. A repeated behavior. Someone may be communicating discomfort or excitement without saying it directly. If you only listen for words, you miss the message. Think about environments too. A room has a mood. A street has a rhythm. A workplace has an unspoken language. You can feel welcome or tense without knowing why. These are signals. When you train yourself to notice them, you move more wisely. Even your own body communicates this way. Tight shoulders. Shallow breath. Restlessness. Calm. These are messages. When ignored, they grow louder. When noticed early, they guide choice. The deeper layer is about responsibility. As our tools improve, our awareness expands. We can no longer say we did not know. When we learn that other beings have cultures, families, and ways of sharing knowledge, the ethical field shifts. How we treat habitats matters more. How we design noise matters more. How we move through shared spaces matters more. Awareness creates obligation. But it also creates wonder. The world becomes richer. More alive. Less lonely. You realize you are surrounded by lives in conversation. You are walking through soundscapes you cannot hear. You are sharing space with stories you have not yet learned to read. This can feel overwhelming, but it can also feel grounding. You are part of something vast. Something layered. Something ongoing. Over time, this awareness can change how you act. You tread more lightly. You listen longer. You assume less. You begin to respect the unseen. And this respect does not only apply to animals or nature. It applies to people whose experiences fall outside your range. To histories you did not learn. To emotions expressed quietly. The habit of listening beyond your default senses becomes a way of being. It trains patience. It trains humility. It trains care. We often celebrate discovery as if it creates new things. But often discovery simply reveals what was always there. Waiting. Speaking. Singing. Coordinating. Living. So the question that stays with us is, if so much life and meaning exists just beyond what you can naturally perceive, how might your choices change if you slowed down and asked what else around you might be communicating right now?